Good morning, welcome back. If you've been watching my vlogs, you already know, but this week I've been getting up super early to give myself a little bit of time before work. It is 5:20 in the morning. Do you know what? I don't know if this is just because it's day one of this attempt at doing the 5 a.m. BS. But it was really easy to get out of bed, and I was immediately awake. My face doesn't know it yet, but I was awake. Just kind of a little bit of time to myself, you know, and especially before I start my kind of day job, I want time to be able to do my own stuff. And it was kind of an experiment at first, but the weirdest thing is, although I'm getting less sleep, I'm starting to feel more energized the longer I do it, and more focused. Initially, I did only intend to do this for a few days. I've decided to stick with it for now because I am getting something from it, and I just want to see whether or not maybe I can like build in some other habits, work on some other habits that maybe, whether this is true or just a feeling, because I think sometimes the placebo effect is just as effective as if it was a real thing. Just feel a little bit more in control of my life. So that's kind of where I'm at. So as you may know, I am taking medication right now. I'm taking antidepressants and I am seeing a therapist, but they're really just short-term fixes. So I wanted to try to identify the areas where maybe I can put some systems in place to relieve some of the day-to-day pressures long term. I was thinking a lot about this last week. When we're stressed out, people tell us to rest, take time for ourselves. Like if I was to say to someone, you know, this is how I'm feeling, they have the regular answers. People always come back with the same stuff, like go and have a bath, read a book, you know, take time for yourself. All the things we've come to accept as self-care. But I personally have always struggled with that. It's something that in the past has caused a little bit of friction between me and the person trying to advise me, because if I'm not being productive with my time, then I really can't relax. And so that long bath would just make me more tense than when I got in. And I get it, people are going to say, you know, you don't have to be productive all the time. This is just the way that I'm wired up. When I say productive, I don't necessarily mean I have to be working. I just mean it needs to be like a valuable use of my time. If I'm spending time with my family or my friends, that's a productive use of time for me. That kind of like ticks a box. It's when I'm doing something that doesn't tick any boxes. That's when it feels like I'm just completely wasting that time. Lying on the sofa, watching TV when I'm home alone is the perfect example of this. If I'm feeling low or burned out, then I might find myself like indulging in mindlessly binging a show, but that's giving me absolutely nothing. It's not giving me anything. It's not fueling me. It's not ticking a box in my life. It's not doing anything. It's almost numbing my brain rather than being restful. I want to be clear, this is personal to me. This is my whole point. What we've been sold as self-care, I think is a bit of a swizz. A while ago, I heard someone say that their version of self-care was making lunches ahead of time so they didn't have to worry about it in the middle of a workday. And that totally changed the way that I looked at the concept of self-care. Self-care isn't about bubble baths and face masks and giving yourself a manicure. It's about caring for yourself. When someone tells you to make time for yourself, you might roll your eyes. I would roll my eyes as well. And you might think, I never have a moment to myself because I've got a family. Or you might live alone and think they're talking absolute nonsense because you've got loads of time to yourself, and that clearly doesn't help at all. Really, the advice should be to make time to help yourself. Right now, in this very minute, what is something you wish you'd done yesterday? Was it put a load of washing in? Was it to clean the kitchen before you went to bed? Or was it, personal favourite of mine that is almost permanently on my list, I wish I'd put away the clothes that have been dry for days, that I'm sure my husband is silently resenting, and by extension is now causing me anxiety and tension in my marriage that only exists in my mind. This is how these things spread. It's actual clutter that then becomes mental clutter. Maybe it's just that you wish you'd sent an email or a text. Maybe you were supposed to text someone back and now it's awkward because you've waited too long and now you're going to have to pretend you didn't receive the message in the first place and it'll be a whole thing. I am an untidy person, but I love a tidy space. It is my cross to bear, my most toxic of traits, but I always feel great when I've made my bed, cleared the landing of clothes that are all hanging around constantly, or when I've tidied up my office the night before work. I know all of these things, and yet I rarely do any of them. So while you might have imagined that my new habits might have been like healthy eating or like journaling, 10,000 steps a day. I mean, I might do that again, but the other stuff, maybe less so. It's actually a lot more basic than that. I just need to care for myself in the same way that I would care for my child. That is gonna look different for each one of us, but I know that some of you are my people. We are the same. We talk on Instagram, we are the same. And I just want to, for my people, I wanted to throw out this completely original and revolutionary idea and think about the you that exists tomorrow. What can you do for them that's gonna make their life easier tomorrow? You will thank you for this more than a spa day, I promise. I'm gonna do a quick run around the house now and just like pick up anything that I can, tidy anything away. I'm gonna go and do a load of laundry, just stuff, but little bits. I'm gonna put on a playlist and it's gonna take me no time at all. I've got a lot on to work in about half an hour. So I'm just gonna quickly run around, and it is amazing how much you can do when you just say, I'm just gonna do this for like 15 minutes. Just have a quick run around, literally no time at all, and I will be on a high for the rest of the day, purely because that cloud that hangs over my head, it's like a cloud full of disorganized to-dos jumbled up in my mind, is going to be a little bit smaller and a little bit less grey. And lastly, remember, there is a huge industry entirely based on us needing to buy things for self-care. It's now essential part of life. Everybody needs to be practicing self-care. It's good for our mental health. Sometimes it's not good for our mental health, because you know what's not good for our mental health? Debt, overspending, feeling like you don't have something that everybody else has got. You don't need anything to care for yourself. Some things, but you just need to actually do something that is good for you, whatever that might be. It's going to be different for everyone, but I hope that this has been useful, maybe inspirational, motivational, whatever. I personally, I know what my self-care is. Sometimes I still lean on the fake self-care to make me feel a little bit better when I'm not doing the real stuff. But when I do the real stuff, when I put that washing away, I feel like $1 million. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Let me know in the comments below, what one thing, or more than one thing, are you going to do today for yourself tomorrow? What is the self-care thing you are going to do for yourself today? What thing have you been putting off that you have not done yet? And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.